start where you began. You have a vast career in media, you know, ranging from not just broadcasting, but we know magazine publishing, also digital. Can you just talk to us about your professional journey?
I came out of Florida A&M University. Best thing that happened to me, aside from going there, was I got a Macintosh 128. So today I got a 128 gig iPhone, but back then I had a 128K Mac, and that was like the joint. And then I got a 512K, and the 512K was like a Mac Plus or something like that. And I learned how to work this program called Mac Paint, and I made flyers and things, and I learned how to run spreadsheets. And then when I was at school, I got to go intern, and I interned for Anheuser-Busch, and I interned for Pepsi. And when I interned for Pepsi, that was up in White Plains, New York, right next to IBM. And there was a little thing that they were launching called the IBM PC, and it was a program called Lotus 123.
Yeah.
And they sent me to Pepsi, sent me to IBM to learn from the engineers how to install PCs and how to run Lotus, and as a financial analyst. So I got just a tremendous amount of experience in computers, floppy drives, things that most folks don't even know they exist. But I learned computers very early on. I learned spreadsheets very early on, and spreadsheets then were programmed with crude macro languages and all that kind of stuff. So I got exposed to that, and so I came back, and after school I worked for Chemical Bank in New York. It's since been acquired. But I came to New York at a crazy time. When I first got to New York, I remember I lived in actually Jersey City, and I was playing the radio, and there was a song that came on called a hip hop song, South Bronx, South Bronx, South Bronx, and the song hit me so hard, right? I had to go to the South Bronx to see what the South Bronx was. I remember taking the train up to the area that was the South Bronx, and passed by Yankee Stadium, and then different things were going on in New York at the time. There was the Bernard Goetz case, and Al Sharpton was wearing sweatsuits back there. Then he was getting into it with the mayor, and the soundtrack of all this conflict in New York, and the New York Post was, talking about black people in a bad way. So the soundtrack of that, for me, was Public Enemy. So I heard this group, Public Enemy, that a lot of people say, well, hip hop music doesn't really affect you and things like that. That's not true. Public Enemy warped my mind, because I would sit there and listen to this all the time, and I began to pay attention to different things. The first time I really found out about Joanne Chesimard and Louis Farrakhan and things like that, that all came from listening to the lyrics of Public Enemy songs and then going up and follow up on it when I was in different places. So that got me into being aware of media, and being aware of what's being represented. So from there, I got a bunch of guys together, and I borrowed, well, all these guys grew up to be lawyers, so they all say I didn't borrow the money. They all say it's an equity investment, but they all gave me like $200, and we put together this magazine. It's like $1,800, and we put together this magazine called Urban Profile. Now, going back to the Mac, I looked at Essence magazine, because I said I'm going to make it look like Essence magazine. But I said that's too hard, so I started working. I said, let me make a newsletter, because that would be easier. But I couldn't make the computer make a newsletter format, so I said, forget it, I'll just go back to a magazine. And this is the kind of high-level technology I use to get developed and published.
That spirit of kind of, I guess, working with what you have, how important has that been in your career to kind of start from there to now being the CEO of REVOLT?
I think the biggest thing to do is just do something you like to do. No matter what you do entrepreneurially, it's going to be difficult, And there's a lovely notion that people have. It's like, oh, I'm going to be my own boss when you're an entrepreneur. You're not really your own boss. You're just working for all kinds of bosses, be they advertisers, be they investors, be they your employees, be they whatever. So if you're going to work that hard, you better really like what you do. I think the biggest thing is that I learned early on to find a niche, keep working and keep working and keep working.
Well, I want to ask you about your experience with working with companies like ESPN and basically just majority-owned company being a minority. Because there's many arguments to it. Because we'll hear people say, and I'm sure all of us have heard this. Don't let your race hold you back. Don't let that be a factor. But then we're still dealing with many walls that need to be broken down. Based on your work experience, where do you stand on that? And what advice can you give minorities when they're entering these majority-owned businesses?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't even like the term minorities because when you're in sports, you're not minorities, you're majorities. So you're coming into sports quite comfortable that you're not a minority. And then the beauty of being a quote-unquote corporate minority or someone a racial minority is that in corporations, everybody's going to know your name. It's you can look at it as a disadvantage, or you can look at it as an advantage. So the opportunity for you to shine it's a better opportunity. Conversely, the opportunity for you to get in trouble, get fired, get pushed out, did I mention get in trouble? Yeah, okay. That's also increased. I think the thing you have to do is kind of be true to yourself. The best blessing I got from Florida A&M was to be true to who you are. There's pride in who you are. So, and things come up in the world, and being an expert. Some people say, well, I don't want to be pigeonholed as the black guy. If there's any spot you want to be pigeonholed as a black guy, it's in sports. Because black guys do things in sports. And to be able to, talk about Allen Iverson when they're coming up with the players' dress code, or the aftermath of the Detroit Indiana fight, or what happened with Michael Vick, or the decision, the first decision, not the second, not the easy decision, the first decision where the world almost ended as we know it, like the whole world almost fell off its axis because LeBron was figuring out where to go, and then it burned in jerseys. It looked like it was crazy, but to be a part of that kind of stuff comes because you have an advantage. You have a cultural advantage. Too often, as people of color, we look at, oh, woe is me, I'm black, I can't catch cabs, I get followed in stores, my credit's going to be messed up, you can't do that. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of disadvantages that all of us know. However, there's also a laundry list of advantages that you know, because there's a certain Jedi to being a person of color, and where most of the world has 6 degrees of separation, black people got 1.5, there's no two tops, like there is no person, no black person, none, not one, that you can go past to without being able to get to someone that, playing that game, that is an advantage. So going back to the Damon John story, going back to anything that's going on, this morning I'm on with Roland Martin, Roland Martin is dealing with the president, all this stuff, then you deal with Valerie Jarrett in the White House, and all of a sudden there's another guy named, President Obama, who, when he was in law school, I was in business school, so, it's just kind of a family thing. I think that's the power of it. And then to be able to discuss that and work in the environment, and also, when I was at ESPN, those are good people. See, good people are good people. And you might not agree with their views on things, or you might think sometimes it's like that. But also, there's times where it's like, they're tolerant of black people too. Doing black people things. So so you got to kind of work it out and be that bridge. Half the things in life are exposure. Getting exposed to Al Sharpton and those guys very early on, getting exposed to Public Enemy very early on. Public Enemy had this song called "Don't Believe the Hype," and "Don't Believe the Hype" was the song that gave me the impetus to kind of get involved with the media. And that was the thing. So. We work hard to make sure we have as much outreach as possible. And then the other thing too, when you get on these internship programs, don't always try to go to the, to the NBA, a lot of times it's easier to go ahead and play in the, in the developing ranks, to get on. A lot of folks want to go ahead, they see Revolt, and they want to start there. But every community has a radio station, and, if you start at the building blocks of music are radio stations, and if you can't get on one of those radio stations, nowadays you can develop your own radio station with Blog Talk Radio and all the different things. The tools that exist nowadays are phenomenal. So even if you have a day job, you can work on this the whole time. Everybody who's been an entrepreneur has had more than one job. I mean, when I started the magazine Urban Profile, I was working at Chemical Bank, and I worked at Chemical Bank the whole time until an article came in the Crane's New York Business about this magazine Urban Profile. It was run by Keith, and then my time at the bank was kind of time for me to go ahead and think about it. However, the point I'm saying to you is that at this time, you have more tools to do what you want than any other time in history. But you have to show why it's important, where it fits, the market it serves, and you have to have passion about it because you're asking for people's money. You're asking for people's money. And when you ask for people's money, for whatever, whether it's for corporate dollars or investor dollars or friends and family, you've got to make sure you're working hard to provide a return.
I love it. And what's next for you? Revolt.
I got, Puff's got an album coming out. I'm waiting every day for him to call me and say I can drop 16 bars on it. I've been waiting for that. I think he's hating on me a little bit because he knows if I get that mic, I can be like him. He knows that. He knows that. He knows that. So I wait. When he calls, I'm like, are you calling me about the album? No, I'm calling you about this. Are you calling me about the? No, I'm not calling you about the album. But no, honestly, Danilo, we have the conference coming up. Look, I love what we're doing at Revolt. I mean, it's an opportunity to take two things that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed my time in Vibe, launching Vibe, learning about music, dealing with some of the best artists, and I made friends all the way up and down the line that has served me well today in the music business. And then my time at ESPN was just awesome. I was there at a great time, and I made friends in NBA and NFL and Major League Baseball, NASCAR, and college football on down the line. And all these folks now are beginning to come together. The merger of sports and entertainment continues to work. So at Vibe with Quincy, I learned music. Clarence Avon, those guys. With ESPN, I learned cable and content distribution. Under military conditions. Working. When you work at ESPN, it is just a well-run operation. So you learn management, and that management is what we brought to Revolt. So when you saw the tape, you saw a show called Revolt Live. Now Revolt Live is set up with 6 segments, opening theme. At the beginning, sounds a little bit like SportsCenter, right? And that's, I have no shame in that. It's SportsCenter in music. Why? Because SportsCenter's on some 30,000 episodes, and we're doing that right now, tracking the number of episodes of Revolt Live every day. We have the opening theme. Our SportsCenter theme is the old Puff Daddy song, Bad Boy for Life, and just very happy about that because that's something that we'll endorse. So we're looking to build that again and again. So you take where you've been and to be here now, and also look, me and Puff have history. We have history. When I was in Vibe, this was in the Puff Daddy days. These are the days he was coming up with the Notorious One and 112 and Black Rob and a lot of you folks in here too young to remember this, but things were banging back then. I mean, hip hop was woo-hoo, so to be with him, when I was running Vibe, the internet wasn't there, So when you had a new artist, you had to get the Vibe, or the source, because to tell the radio people, to tell all the people who are deciding what records played to make it happen, And so there was discussion back then. It was important for the publication. So that's how I got the chance to meet all these folks. So to have all that come full circle and we're working together, it's an honor, you know. And then there's other things like, you know, there's Sean John, and then there's Aqua Hydrate, you know, so you drink it, so I'll show you Aqua Hydrate water that Sean has, and then there is Ciroc, and then he just acquired a vodka called De Leon. I mean, not vodka, tequila. Sorry, tequila called De Leon, premium tequila. So it's a full business at Combs Enterprises, and I'm entrusted to work with him and run the media part with REVOLT. So it's exciting.